when he was saying something about leadership, because in my few years in university, it has dawned on me that for the most part, the majority of the populace seem not to have a clear idea on what they want. And if you're leading people who do not know what they want, then how are you going to organize your, I want to use her words, your major thoughts, but now your major plan, impact, how are you going to organize it so that it will be in sync with what they want? He brought it home with the SUG example, and there is where I see the utmost skill of our society. As young as we are, it's a smaller circle, but it's a typical representation of what goes on in the bigger politics and the bigger games. And you see students who would not vote for you because you do not give them sweets and bubble gum. And that's very terrible. How am I supposed to give that to you? Is that supposed to be what I'm going to do for you when I get in there? Is that all you really need, seriously? And you wonder, if these people want something that is not good for them, and you do not stand a chance to get there unless you give them those things, so what are you going to do? Now that's also that's an aspect of what my question, because to sum it all up, what I'm asking is this. If the people have a condition before they can make you a leader, and that condition is not what is best for them, it does not agree with your core values, how are you going to get there? Because at the end of the day, the bigger plan is to measure impact by their own standards.
Number one is that if you have plans to live in a place, don't wait until when the time for campaign comes before you start. Don't wait for them to give you condition. That is to say, begin to work on them before the time. You can remember you are a student. Okay. In IMT, while I was heading the chaplaincy of my denomination in IMT, there was one young man called Monday Diamond. Before Monday Diamond vied for SUG election, from second year or first year, he was already doing programs impacting on the people. So by the time SUG election was set, not minding every opposition around him, he won it. The people didn't have to give him condition. He didn't need to buy sweets to convince them. He has already impacted on them over the years. Monday Diamond was organizing a program that was impacting on them. So you start on time. When I knew that I had interest to be SUG president in the seminary I attended, from my first year, I began to do something about that. So that's number one. Then number two is that in one of the institutions around, I'm not going to mention the institution, someone was vying for, what is it called? Someone was vying for deputy vice chancellor of a campus. And the idea is that for you to be a deputy vice chancellor, there are people you will meet. You're expected to go to senior staff club and buy them drinks. But the woman in question is a Christian. She decided she was not going to do that. Then she went to see a professor that had influence. The professor opened his fridge, brought a wine, put it inside a wine glass, took part of it and asked the woman to take. And the woman said no, because it was more or less a covenant. The woman said no. She didn't drink from that wine glass, and she didn't buy drinks for the senior staff people because she felt it was against her values. But she later won. Why? Apart from the fact that she didn't do that, people have already known her in the past. She has already influenced major part of them. So the few people that we are saying that couldn't influence the result of the election. So you start on time. And then someone said that leadership is on the knees. A lot of things that happen in life, there is a spiritual aspect of it. So you start on time. You can start praying that when the time comes, you don't have any money to give, that God should even raise people that will campaign for you. God can do something.
The social media is, what's the social media? Does anybody want to answer?
Good morning. We here from Chibu's. It builds an atmosphere where there are many people there socializing, interacting, and making contact, globalizing. So when you say social media, in my own terms, I think it's a place where people socialize with themselves, globalize with themselves for a common goal.
Social media platform is a community whereby people interact with each other without being physically present. Now, coming to your question, how has it impacted my life? Through social media, I've been able to connect with so many people.
My name is Benjamin. Is social media a bad thing? I would say no. A lot of people have actually impacted lives. A lot of life have been touched through this social media space, like my own life.
So the social media is not a bad thing in saying actually, and then it can also be a bad thing. It depends on the usage. Like he said, he has gotten a lot of millions and connections through the social media. A lot of people too have lost a lot of valuable things through the social media. So some people are using it for negative means and some are also using it positively.
So can we tell us how can we raise transformative leaders? Who is the first to speak? Who wants to be the first to tell us?
My name is Ditayan Chigoze, a student in National University level 200 Computer Science. For me as a person, over the years, I've been an impact of various meetings and remember thinking from where I came from. So one of the ways I think to transform a leader or to raise up a leader is the mindset. Because if, like in computer, they say garbage in, garbage out. So if you can't change a man's mindset, if a man's mindset cannot be changed, therefore, because leadership is just like an outview, it's like a mirror that you look at yourself. So if, for example, if you are not bold inside, you can't demonstrate boldness. So it's first transforming the inner you. When the inner you is transformed, the outer will just comply.
My name is I'm a teacher by profession. I believe that leadership is by living out who you are. In the sense that for you to be a transformational leader, you have to be a model. Don't expect people to do what you don't do. Some people say, that's a wrong leadership. I believe that for you to be a leader, you must set a model. Let those people, Paul or whoever that said, look at me as I look unto God. So you should stand a chance. I was talking with somebody, I was telling the person that for you to raise a child in this generation, and if you don't live to the standard, wherein that child will look at you and be able to live the same lifestyle you are living, you are failing as a parent. So for you to be a transformational leader, you must live a life wherein you can be bold to say, do this. And the person will automatically know that this thing you're asking me to do, she does the same. You cannot bribe your way up to a position and you expect those that you are leading not to bribe their own way to the position. That's wrong. Thank you.
If we have really understood leadership, I think the first thing, if you want to raise leaders, people that will emulate you, people that will stand out tomorrow, you should first of all let them understand the purpose of leadership. And secondly, helping them to understand what leadership is all about. Like some time ago, I was discussing with someone. The person was telling me that, in fact, the purpose of leadership is to make money. Is to make money. And that is why when the person has this opportunity, you want to embezzle public fund, you want to become rich overnight. So when we understand this thing, and we teach people who are following us, we let them understand that leadership is all about service. Leadership is all about impact, not about your personal pocket. I think this thing will help us. Okay.
Good morning. I'm also a core member. You already said part of the thing I wanted to say. You said, how can we raise transformational leaders? The first thing we have to do is to start early. You can't start building a house when you have to count the cost. You have to sit down and think, what do I want to do? You get, even the Bible says you should raise up a child, train up a child in the way it should go. There are some things that will never leave our minds because of because we've been taught over time. We've been hearing it over and over and over again. So if you want to raise your child to be a transformational leader, you have to start early. You have to, just like she said, you have to keep repeating this thing to your child. Even if at that very moment the child may not even understand it at that time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. My name is Michael Chidebere, honestly. My own view to this is that, from what my brother over there said about our mindset, I also think it has to also do with our family, the mindset our family gives to us, because it has to do. They have this mindset of, okay, if you go to government or you are a leader, you should go and get something for us. What have you done for us? And which, when we get there, you start looking for ways to actually do something for the family at the expense of other families. So I strongly believe that in as much as we have other things that we should consider, our parents also has a greater part to do in programming us from childhood, because that is what they do it subconsciously. So when we get there, we start acting without us knowing that we are actually carrying out a mandate from our parents.
I am the founder of Jeffka Hands and Jeffka Design. My own contribution towards raising an exceptional leader is, I want to summarize it with this quote, which everybody is aware of. They say that right is right, even if no one is doing it. Then wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. And my point will be lengthy, but I'll just mention 3 things that happened to me and how I respond to it. And I always pray and say, God, if I should keep on this, I'm sure any place I see myself, I'm going to stand out.
Concerning what we are talking about today, many people have spoken on how to be a transformational leader. And if you look at each and every one of them, the points they mentioned, in one way or another, reflected to the reality of being a transformational leader. But first of all, I would like us to look at something, because everything has a start. Until we like, for example, someone was commenting that Nigeria should face their problem, though it's a Nigerian that he has maybe left for himself. That when Nigeria is okay, when Nigeria is alright, he or she will come back. But the person felt or forgot that anything we didn't choose from the background will continue to exist. The problem of having or being a transformational leader starts from the background. What goes into us is what we give out. You cannot imagine me, or you cannot believe me, or you cannot look at me or look up to me for me to be extraordinary, whereby I was nurtured by someone who is ordinary. So, for example, now, we are looking at the leadership of the nation, Nigeria, and we are looking at how everything is going. There is no way that the youth that are coming up, the youth that are going now, it's not they will not be looking up to those people to lead their life. So first of all, I have to start from the background. That is why it is raising. You have to start from the background and from the scratch to raise them. Also, relating to what they said, there was something that Rotimi and Richie said in 2013 during Nelson Mandela's celebration of maybe his years. He said something that Nigerian leaders, or he made a statement precisely, politically, as the person said, it's making to himself that we steal because Nigeria don't stone us. That is one thing about that transformation. It is what we believe, what we see, is what we do. There was some. Okay, what's the time?
Yes.
I want to run it up now. So, what I'm trying to say is that we have to start from the scratch or from the background to do it. Starting from, they say, from the mentality, from our family, from the core values. So, we have to start from the scratch to treat.
Please, I want to correct an impression. He made a statement here. Please, if you're here as a youth and your background is ordinary, I want to let you know that you can make it extraordinary. That is what the Word of God told us to do. You don't have to relax because you came from a background that maybe believe in idol or anything, and you follow that line. It is wrong. You have the capacity, you have the ability to change things. You change the narrative. So please, I want to correct that impression, okay?
My name is Obewa Dabutifa. So I noticed something. We've talked so much about the personal values we should have as leaders, and so little about the values we need to see in the system. the values our institution should reflect. So I think that it's not enough, and we shouldn't center ourselves in this fight to raise transform, to have a good society or a prosperous nation. So all I'm saying is that, take for instance, it's not good enough for your own administration. You as a person, we know that you are selfless, you love people, you show up on time, you don't embezzle money. But what will happen after you leave that office? What will happen after your own administration? So we should start talking about, we should start making conscious effort to see all those values that will hold you as personal, as transformational leaders to be reflected in the institutions that are in place.
And be an effective leader, the first person you should lead is yourself. I think one of the major challenges we're having is that we're having leaders who want to lead Nigeria, but they don't have a grip on themselves. Apostle Paul said, I put my body under subjection. And there is no way you can make it as a good leader if you don't have self-control. The issue is people have not been able to control themselves. They don't have control over a lot of things. Sex drive, they don't have control over money.
If you're driving in Enugu, for instance, and you're someone who is impatient, you don't like obeying traffic rules. If you remember that MOT will collect 20,000 naira from you when you drive against traffic, you respect yourself. And that's how systems work. When you have strong institutions, people are compelled to live accordingly. Nigeria is the way it is because we don't have strong institutions. We have exceptions, we don't have equality in what we're doing. So one of the days, what we do here is we pray for good leadership. Everything we fast, we go to church about it, and these things don't work. It doesn't work anywhere in the world. How strong institutions and things will work in the society? Thank you.
In 60 seconds, can you put down 4 core values, just 4? I'll call out some of us to mention the core values we have written down.
My 4 core values: giving without restriction, loving without
I didn't get that,
boundary.
sorry.
Giving without restriction, loving without boundary, duty bound, and then being happy and making people around me happy.
My 4 core values are selflessness, strength, foresight, and honesty.
Well, from my 4 core values, 2 is out. You mentioned 1 and she mentioned 1.
Awesome.
So I'll be mentioning only 2. I have integrity, then oneness.
My 4 core values, I think 1 of integrity. The remaining 3 is creativity, relevance, and productivity.